Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Odd Blog, and today we're going to be talking about the Disney-Fox deal. And what I have here in front of me is a copy of the actual shareholders pack that was issued by the Walt Disney Company to its shareholders, urging them to vote yes for the acquisition of 21st Century Fox. So it's quite a big document that they sent out, and it's described as the proposed merger and your vote is very important. So the whole thing really talks about various facts and figures and all sorts of very, very boring legal jargon about what was proposed in the takeover and how it came to be. Now, obviously, this was some time ago that this was issued, and we know that the shareholders did in the end vote yes. So this is happening, and these are the details as to actually how it's going to happen, what's going to happen, and how much, at the end of the day, it's all going to cost. So, very lucky to be able to get my hands on one of these. So yes, this is actually the merger document. This is everything that was given out to the shareholders so that they could go ahead and vote as they did. Now, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that they were going to vote yes, but I suppose Disney just wanted to be sure. So it is, a very, very long document. I'm not going to read it out word for word because that would just be incredibly boring, but and a lot of the figure work that's in this changed because this was prior to Disney having to up their bid when Comcast came along and tried to basically steal it from underneath them. But it is Disney's. They do now own, or will be owning, 21st Century Fox. So I'm just going to give you a few ideas as to what I think they're going to be doing with it and how it's all going to work. The biggest thing for Marvel fans is certainly the idea that now the MCU can finally have its own version of the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and all of the other characters that they can acquire now from 21st Century Fox. And it was recently announced that indeed the X-Men franchise and all of those characters which were previously owned by Fox are now going to be handed over to Kevin Feige and to Marvel Studios for them to produce, manage, and to deal with basically as to however they want. What's quite interesting is the fact that we just had the trailer a few days ago for the next X-Men film, which is the Phoenix film, Dark Phoenix, I think it's called. To be perfectly honest, I think it looks rubbish, but it doesn't really matter because that film, as far as I'm concerned, is probably going to be the end of that saga, if you like, of films. To be honest, it probably should have ended quite a long time ago. The whole timeline of that is a complete and utter mess. And as I recently discussed with Imagineer Nick on a podcast, ultimately Logan for us is when that franchise should have finished. And as far as we're concerned, that really is the end. So, yeah, Dark Phoenix, we're not particularly interested in, and I kind of hoped that the deal would have been done a lot sooner so that they could have just stopped that film rather than dragging us along through something that we don't want to see. But anyway, the deal is now happening. As far as we're concerned, the X-Men is going to be going over to Marvel Studios. Having said that, I think it's going to take a long, long time before this turns into something actually that tangibly Marvel Studios can get their hands on and do something with. It takes a long time for all of these documents to go through. I think the legal process could take anything up to a year before Marvel can actually get their hands on those characters and do something with them. So, with that said, it's likely that we were not obviously going to see any X-Men characters or anything like that in Avengers 4. It's not going to happen. There isn't enough time, and quite frankly, the deal has gone through far too late for Marvel Studios now to be able to do anything with Avengers 4 to involve X-Men or Fantastic Four characters. It's not going to happen. Loads of fans keep speculating that it will. It won't. It simply won't. It can't. So if X-Men are going to come along, it's going to be in Phase 4 after Avengers 4 is finished, and we then go into the next phase of films. That's fine, and to be honest, I think if we are looking at Avengers 4 as being the end of the kind of what we know at the moment to be the Avengers roster, I think is obviously going to come to an end. That will be effectively the end of our Earthbound heroes for one reason or another, whether that's because some of them die or they just move on or they do other things. I think the team will change, and it's now proposed, I suppose, that we're going to go into a more of a cosmic direction in terms of the MCU. Having said that, there's still a capacity to have Earthbound heroes, and perhaps the X-Men is going to be where that happens. So we're not really going to be worried about the Avengers anymore. We're not going to be worried about Guardians of the Galaxy because that's effectively on a shelf somewhere. The Eternals might not turn out to be anything that we're particularly interested in, but X-Men definitely will be. So I think that the X-Men is going to be kind of a replacement for what we know at the moment as an Avengers. And the next phase of films is going to focus more on X-Men as being those Earthbound heroes. It's a different team, and I think Marvel Studios will eat that up and turn that into the next phase, if you like, of films. Similarly with Fantastic Four, and if I had to hedge my bets, I'd say that Fantastic Four probably will come along before the X-Men do in the MCU, purely because I think it's easier for them to manage, but also we can skip over the last Fantastic Four film and just forget that that ever happened, and go back to the two films that happened before it, where Chris Evans was playing the Human Torch. Not terrible films, but I think it would be easier for them to go back to those kind of Fantastic Four origins and start again, and come up with a decent storyline to tie into everything. So lots of different things that they can do. Yeah, we're not going to see anything before Avengers 4 comes out in terms of these characters. There are other characters that they can do, of course there are, particularly with the villain side of things, but it's certainly interesting that it gives Marvel Studios the option to be able to do those, and I certainly think that they will, because the fans are pretty much clamouring for it at the moment. So with that said, what else are they going to get? Well, The Simpsons is going to be one thing, and I'll be really interested to see what Disney do with that. We know that they're probably not going to put any sort of Simpsons related stuff into the parks, because they already have that at Universal Studios. I can't imagine that they're going to let go of that anytime soon. So in terms of seeing Simpsons IP in a Disney park, I'm not expecting it to happen, and I personally wouldn't want it to happen. The Simpsons is great, and I'm a big fan of The Simpsons, but it does not belong in a Disney park. And I think it'll be very much left alone as its own separate thing that probably will continue, but I don't think Disney will do much with it. Similarly with Family Guy, I don't really expect you'll see any Family Guy anywhere near a Disney property anytime soon. It's just not obviously their ethos of storytelling, and kind of goes against what you would expect from typical kind of Disney related franchises. It'll still exist, but it'll be very much kept at arm's length, I think, away from what Disney do day to day. Having said that, what about Deadpool? Deadpool's another one of these Fox characters, which is technically one of the X-Men characters and sort of fits into that franchise. And we know that Disney have said in the past that they would not be concerned about trying to reduce it from an R-rated program. They don't have any difficulty, I think, in releasing R-rated movies, so they'd be quite happy for Deadpool to carry on, whether that's in his own universe or as a part of something bigger. I personally like to see Deadpool merging into the MCU anytime, and whether it should or not, I don't really know. It's a very popular couple of films that they've done for Deadpool, but I don't really see it becoming part of an MCU. And to be honest, I'm not sure if they're actually looking at doing a third film. The second wasn't as good as the first. Still a good film, but the first one was definitely better. And even Ryan Reynolds has said himself that he's not too sure whether or not there will be a third, because do you really need a third Deadpool film? If it's just going to be the same, really, as the other two, what's the point? Unless they are going to use that as an opportunity to get Deadpool into the MCU. But again, personally, I don't want that to happen. I just don't think it fits. Again, it's a very different type of storytelling. The R-rated stuff won't work in the MCU, so I think they'll very much keep him, Deadpool, separate from everybody else. Maybe they'll merge at some point with X-Men, and we'll see what they do, but I'm not expecting a third Deadpool film anytime soon, and similarly, yeah, I don't think the MCU is a place for him. So, a few other things, obviously, that Fox will be, well, not giving away, but selling off to Disney, a few other IPs, but those for me are the highlights. Those are the ones that we're looking at very, very closely to see what they do. So with that being said, let me know, what do you think? What do you think is going to be the outcome of this acquisition, and what are Disney going to do with all of these IPs that then they'll suddenly have? I think I'm right in thinking that Avatar now is completely owned by the Walt Disney Company, and I'm not sure whether they had full rights to it previously, but we are expecting to get another 10 years worth of films apparently from James Cameron and his team, currently working on the Avatar franchise, as they're looking at, which personally I think comes off of the coattails of Pandora in Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Yeah, I'm not really sure that I personally would want any other Avatar films. It's an okay film, and I think it did well purely because of the technology it used at the time. If you actually look at it now, it's quite dated, and things have moved on, so we'll wait to see. But as a film on its own, in terms of storytelling and character, it's actually not that great. So whether we see any more of those films, I don't know, but I, for one, personally don't see that as a highlight for me. It's all about the X-Men, it's all about Fantastic Four, it's all about Deadpool, and similarly, I'm curious to know what they do with things like The Simpsons and Family Guy going forward. So, yeah, we're all done. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're looking forward to or hoping that Disney are going to do with these Fox IPs. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next episode.